Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Ophelia here and thank you so much for joining me. It's been a while, I know. I've been struggling with my shoulder still, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time today just to play in my journal, ease back into things. And pardon me here while I fix my light. I am just using a mystery palette, if you will, of just some colors I had. And I'm starting on an old background that was in my journal. It had some oranges that I'd covered up, and so I thought I would start off by just spreading some color around. Um, and then I realized that it just wasn't, the colors weren't covering or popping as much. So I reached for my palette of acrylic paints and just started covering it up with some white paint here. And that's just to kind of help all of my watercolors to show up a little bit more and cover up some of that old paint that was there. So after that dries up, I go back to my watercolors and I'm just picking some purples and some blues, and now I'm feeling a lot better as to how it is covering everything up. Of course, like I said, that's just a mystery watercolor palette. Mystery meaning I have no idea of the brands or the color names in the palette. It's just an old one that I had in my drawer that I wanted to show some love. So I put down those colors, dried that up, and then just hoping to keep this page pretty simple. I've got Lucas acrylic paints here that I'm using. Some turquoise, some gray, some white. I've also got some mauve that I don't think I ended up using it. And a little bit of fluorescent magenta, but just regular Lucas acrylic paint. Those are usually my go-to that I like to use. And then after that's dry, I just get a stencil with some turquoise acrylic ink that I'm just going to add a little bit of texture to the background of this. And usually that's how I clean off my stencils, is by shoving it under another page. And once that's dried up, I'm going to add some of that fluorescent pink, acrylic pink, or fluorescent magenta, and just kind of spread that over the page. I don't really have an idea of honestly what I want to do today other than just ease my way back into playing around. This is a pouch that I keep a lot of my collage sheets in, and so I'm a Patreon of Courtney with Little Raven Ink, and that's where I get a lot of those. She sends them every month. So I just kind of keep everything in an envelope, or a lot of mine in an envelope, and just kind of pull from there. So that's what I ended up doing here. Just I always like to audition things around, but then try not to overthink things. So it just takes me a bit to kind of cut everything out and see what I want to use. Courtney has like a monthly, for her Patreon supporters, she sends out monthly collage sheets, and I just really like those, so I enjoy being a member of her Patreon site. I found an old shipping tag, cut out the other elements. Back when I recorded this a few days ago, we have snow here in North Carolina, so we've been kind of snowed in. I took that picture and wanted to use that in my journal, and then as well as an old shipping tag I had, and just kind of gluing things down. I usually use a glue stick just because I don't want to wait for things to kind of dry up again if I'm using a matte medium. So I've just pulled out that photograph that I used the Sprocket printer where I took the photo from my phone, gluing some other elements down. And again, like I said, I just really wanted to keep this pretty simple, kind of ease my way back into journaling. Hopefully my shoulder will let me do the things that I honestly want to do. It's been pretty rough trying to get back into filming and journaling daily and such like that. I'm using that Black Jerry's Jumbo Jet pencil, and I just like to use that to kind of go around the edges of things, just to kind of grunge things up a little bit. So I go around the tag and the other elements on my page. got myself some black acrylic ink and a nib. And at first my nib just doesn't seem to want to cooperate. So then I go back to my trusty way of doing it, and that's using the dropper to actually write with. Then I get some regular acrylic markers and add some doodling. Just go around making some marks and such like that on the page. I can totally tell I'm out of practice here. A lot of my markers don't really work. I'm just kind of struggling to say what I want to say on this page or just kind of get it done. Here, of course, I decided to add some journaling off camera just so that I wouldn't bore you guys with the extra details. Adding some finishing touches, and just happy to be back. Honest to goodness, just happy to be back. I thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.